You know my story, right?
All right. Rob, we're live. Excellent, man. We are live. We are live at Look Around Music and Arts Festival in Westchester, Pennsylvania with Rob. Oh, you got to get the mic here. All right. So, Rob, we'll go first and last name, and then let's talk about your art. All right. Rob DiTeodoro. Awesome, man. Let's talk about this, man. Cool. This is some ridiculously awesome art. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about. Tell me a little bit about some of your inspirations from a color standpoint. For me, that's like one of the biggest things that pops in your art.
Yeah. I like studying coloring. I really like the idea of how they interact. Yeah. For me, it's like it's not necessarily about the color of one thing; it's about the color of what it's next to. You know, like I'm always looking for like contrast. Mostly contrast. Yeah, it pops. You know. And I just like colors, man. You know, like I tried before to like stick to like, let me just try it in like earth. Like, it's not it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, the color pops so much, and the design of the flow is just everything with the curvatures. And like, you're not a fan of 90-degree angles.
It's like everything's organic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I barely do anything in straight lines. But tell me, anything that's not organic. But yeah, I appreciate that. 'Cause I always try to get like a feel of like keeping it wavy.
Yeah. I always laugh because like people are always obsessed with straight lines, and I'm like, man, if you really want to be authentic and part of nature, you can do straight lines.
For sure. Dude, I was listening to this like a lot of like native, like indigenous kind of medicine things, like container, like it's a circular cut. And I was listening to this podcast the other day, and this guy was talking about he had seen a documentary or something, and the Native Americans were saying once they removed from their land into like housing, they got sick, and they were like the teepee or their structures were and it had full and it's like the house energy, and they were like they put us in these boxes. We got sick.
Because there's the air and all the bacteria. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like
it's funny too. Like I don't know if this is true or not, but like I've always been told like some country, and it might be like in Germany or something like that, they don't do 90-degree angles in houses because or maybe not now, but back then because they believe the devil was in the corner.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And so all the houses are circular and curved.
Well, like if you think about too, like anything that has like if it's a straight line or a 90-degree angle, it involves like mathematics, measuring tools and things, and you're like, there's a chance to be incorrect.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like if you look at like when I was in Costa Rica, I did. On wood, and it was made. They didn't like plane the wood. Right. It was like stripped of its bark and it was stained. So like the railings were all like gnarly. It's like couldn't go up to somebody and say this is incorrect.
Yeah.
But if you're building a house, like put a square to it, and you're like it's wrong. It's like I feel like that just teaches people to feel like it's like this feeling it's like, if it's just nature, you're like, cool, it looks awesome.
Yeah,
you're never like that doesn't look like a straight tree. Like it looks fucking dope. It's like at a weird angle.
Well, it's funny too when you said that about building a house. Like I have my family has a cabin in Somerset County, Bedford County area, like towards Pittsburgh, and it's my grandfather's uncle that built it. So the beams that are all exposed, it's not like what you see with cabins today. It's the hatchet mark. So he's taking the bark off and building it. I get chill. I actually just get those.
That's amazing.
And like it's so cool when you go in it because like I'm obsessed with stories, and it's like I think about like the sweat of like just chopping that down.
Think about like the end. Like I feel like it's like karma or something is like energy, not like it's like a cosmic like you did something nice. Like karma is like your energy, and it's like reverberates, and it's like each one of those act strokes it's like a time stamp, like the energy you put out that day. You went to sleep and you got new energy, and you're like that is like captured there. You're like if it's just by a machine, you're like there's nothing there. You can feel it. There's nothing there. When somebody worked on something by hand, you're like there's an energy.
Well, like and I get obsessed with like texture, and because texture to me is like there's an experience within texture. Right. So because texture, like anything that's flat, like this or anything like that, I'm like whatever, just ran through by somebody or whatever else. But anytime there's something where there's imperfections, I'm like somebody made this, and then all of a sudden my mind immediately goes to like what were they thinking about when they? And that's immediately where I go. It's like, what was in their head when they put this together?
And I think that has a lot to do with art too, and like you're saying, like about the colors. Of like, I feel like some people I think make art how they see it. So it's like maybe it's impressionism going art. I feel like I've always tried to make art based on like I want people to feel. You know what I mean? So it's like not want people to feel, but like want to give that energy. Yeah. But it's like I try to make it like happy and goofy or like almost funny sometimes because it's like that's what I'm trying to. That's how I feel when I make fun. Yeah, it's like I think some people feel it's like baked into it.
It's true. I never thought about that. Yeah, a lot of artists, it's like it's them expressing themselves for themselves. Not like it's a selfish thing. It's just that's how it comes out. But to add that next layer, putting the interpretation of the actual audience into it, that's really cool.
It's like I want to like make you feel good. Yeah, you know, or get that like it's there's nothing I like more than like. When I'm like playing festivals like this, and I see somebody walking there, I just not watch, and it's like if they're looking, and I just see them go, like, I'm like, yep, yeah, that's like all I'm looking for is like that little chuckle. I'm like, yeah,
that's exactly it. So let's talk a little bit today about. So you have the corner art gallery we're going to talk about a little bit today too, and also with these events and stuff like that, you guys do pop ups and everything like that.
I mean, we've done a few so far. Like, yeah. I've been doing festivals like this for like 2 years.
Yeah, nice.
But, yeah, we're like trying to figure out like, is there a model that would make sense with like, what if you did something like that here, big stuff, like, right? So that way we have like a super, like super group tent where you're like, instead of being like, oh, there's like 3 or 4 artists here, you're like, oh,
yeah, you have a real collective inside of it. That's cool. Yeah, it's definitely if anybody's out in the Westchester area checking out the Corner Art Collective. What's the address there again?
341 South Ave.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, stop over there and nice gray building inside of there when you're driving by. You guys will catch it there. And let's talk a little bit about your story in art, man. How about let's go back to let's go to high school.
Okay.
Were you an artist in high school?
I mean, I've always been an artist, but I was definitely not like what I didn't think of as a kid. Yeah. Like, I've been drawing and like I always like comics and like goofy kind of like graphic type stuff, you know. So like I was still drawing in high school. I took some art classes, but like I felt like I was like there was the kids who were like getting awards or like doing like entering things. I just didn't participate in like anything extracurricular. Yeah. High school to me was like getting good, but I always was drawing, and I don't know. I didn't feel like I really found like a style, right? And then I joined the Marine Corps, and there was like a long period where I wasn't really making art. So I put during that time, and I wasn't seeing like a great place, I don't think. Which I think why I like to make art that's not here. And then like when I got out of Marine Corps, I went to Westchester University for that. Started getting into it again. You had to take some fine art classes through that program, and then I don't know, man, just something like around my 30th birthday or so, like I just started making art again, and it just became like I found like my style, and it was like all of a sudden I just felt like it was like what I just want to say. I can say it, you know, and it's like. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if you ever heard this, like, idea of gap, and it's like, when you're trying to learn something, and it's like, basically, you appreciate, typically before you get into something, you already appreciate it, and it's like, if you're appreciating, like, let's say it's like, playing the guitar or something, right, it's like, you have a certain ear for what you like, and you have an education on, like, what's going on with it, and that's very developed, and then when you try to learn it, you're so far from what your knows is good that it's painful. Yeah. And the gap is like, how do you close that gap without getting up and feel like shit? Right. About it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that for art was like a 30-year gap for me where like it was finally, I felt like I like what I'm making, you know? Because like for most of anything I ever made, it was like I would do the like crumple it up, throw it or scribble on it. Yeah. You're just like I had fun making it, but as soon as you judge it when you're done, like I don't like it. So.
Well, yeah, or you look at it too often and you start tweaking it so much.
Yeah, you fuck it all up. Yeah.
I used to do. I grew up like loving the creative world, creativity. I've tried all the different mediums of art. I never could get to where I was ever happy with it until I found like video and all that stuff where I could like express myself and tell people's stories. And I've been doing it for a long time, but I love and being involved in the art community because I think I've lived in a lot of areas, and I think until somebody lives in an area where there's not an art community, that's when you realize how important our community is, and not just to like your life or something to do, but literally it infiltrates every aspect of the business community as well. And I think like you drive through, like I drive through towns all day long, and it's like you can just drive through. I don't even have to get out of the car. I can drive through a town and I can know if there's an art.
Yeah, like some kind of like creative energy. Yeah, well, that was like a lot of what came why the story came out. I lived in Houston, and so like after I went to Westchester, Houston, like got married. And then my wife is here as well, but we had our kids there and stuff, and like that was when I got really into like painting as like not as like doing it for school. And the scene in Houston is incredible. Like it's a young city. There's a lot of good artists. And I just like it was like as soon as I started painting, I found this community. And it seemed so fucking easy. Yeah. That like I just assumed like that's how it was. And I always thought like, oh, if I move back to Westchester, I know so many people there, like I'll be able to plug right in. Yeah. And like we moved back there like 5 years ago, and I just couldn't find anything. I mean, there's artists here, but I didn't feel like there was any kind of scene or place that represented the stuff that I like, which is like street art stuff. And after like trying to find that for a long time, I just was like, what if I just started my own thing? Yeah. And then shortly after, I started kind of like looking at a spot with my met Josh. Nice. And I just met him, and I was like, he's making kind of art that I like too. So I was like, you want to just do this? And we didn't know a lot of the people. You know what I mean? It was like those people were there just waiting for something, and then it came, and they just like, yeah, everybody. I didn't realize
how new that was. How many years ago when you guys opened the corner?
Well, I was a year. Oh wow! And I only known Josh for like 2 months prior to that.
Wow. so that makes sense then. Yeah.
So we're like brand new.
So this is okay now. Okay, this is me not realizing that because I wasn't around here in the very beginning when you guys know with John. So. Like that energy I'm feeling is real for everybody.
Yeah, it's organic.
You're all like fresh into the yeah.
And that's why I think like people always talk about the energy at the show and stuff like that. It's like couldn't match that. It's like it just happened and people around it. And it's like you know, and it's like that's always here. Like have you ever heard the podcast? It's how I built it.
Oh yeah.
I've listened to everyone.
Nice.
I'm obsessed with like entrepreneurs. I always hear what entrepreneurs. If you have an itch and you scratch it, other people have the same itch. And it was like. Also, being the spot was us going like nobody wants to show up. We're gonna show up. We called it slightly from the beginning, but the idea wasn't like we're gonna start with work. So like the first month, we just put up our own. We had a show. People came and stuff like that. I was like, now what? How many times are we gonna do? Yeah, I was like, what are we gonna do? Because we weren't on the weekends then. The place that I used to show you used to be a show. So I was like, what if we just try and we just put it on and dude, it was just like immediately people were like everybody could kind of run
Dude, I gotta tell you, man, I am so excited. I've been out in this area. My kid's mom's from this area, but she's in South Jersey. She went to school in Westchester. I've been here a lot. This years ago. So for me as well, coming back when I first met you in the beginning of summer, that was my first time back in Westchester in 15 some years. So like it's awesome. I see exactly what you're talking about where this was and where it is now. And it's just an incredible time to be not just an artist, but also a fan of art, and like somebody that just wants to be an ally of the community and realize that really, I hate to get heady, but at the same time in closing, I'm going to say, like, fucking world's a crazy place, and in the next couple weeks, it's getting crazier, and I'll be honest with you, it's this shit that's going to keep people grounded, and it's this stuff, it's art, it's music, it's movies, it's everything.
And like, you know, like you're saying, the thing getting crazy too, it's like, the amount of like different walks of life, artists that we have showing there, and like some of them are like, let's say like, you know, older white ladies, you know, younger, like, you know, at the shows, it's everybody's going, and you're like, I can guarantee you, if you ask them to do that, this wouldn't go, but it's like, this is a place to me where nobody brings any of that in the food. It's like, it's real.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, talking about the different types of artists you have, I mean, you have acrylic, you have sketch, you have sculptors, everything covered there. Yeah. And then John and I think we're getting your whole multimedia in on your history. So, want to bring that new channel in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, dude. Thanks so much. Thanks, man. I love what you're doing. Absolutely.
You know my story, right?